Yes, once again, we are back to Open Talk, coming to you, bringing you the openness of life. Life is not closed, it is so open. And we have come to your house. We want to thank you so very much for allowing us to come to your house to speak to you, to bring in the word that God has put in us and our testimonies, that there may be healing. I pray that whatever we had last Wednesday has been of help to you. But tonight, we want to say thank you so much, very much, for opening up your home for us to come and be with you. Once again, let me ask you, Joyce, to bring greetings, and then we hit the road before I introduce our guests to you tonight. Thank you, Joyce.
Welcome to Open Talk. I want to believe that in our last session you were blessed by the stories of Bishop Peter and Reverend Faith Ndung'u, and they ministered to you. And let me tell you, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Now we are going to dive much more and just see what God has been doing in their lives since those last events. So you are up for a great time. Just sit back, relax, and take in this story, and it will be a blessing to you or somebody else, because you may not be in the situation that they are in, but you may know someone who is, and you'll be able to minister to them by their story. So welcome to the Open Talk today.
Thank you so very much. They said a promise is a debt. And I promise that we would be with Bishop Peter and Reverend Faith today so that we can continue with their story. I'm sure many of you are excited or are blessed by the testimony of the police officer who would go and preach the gospel. And it is just tremendous to see what God can do. And the story of Faith, we actually ended up, we concluded the program last Wednesday on the story of Faith, how she has lost her husband, and Peter has lost his wife, and they have gone, the direct team has gone to console with Peter, and they have said, we can't leave Faith behind. We cannot leave Faith behind, because Faith has gone through it. He is the only one who can listen. And let's find out what Peter had when Faith went to console with him, whether he just heard with the ears or he heard with the heart. And you never know what God can do. In other words, do not close up. Don't close God out. God can speak to you in the market. God can come to you in the bus, in the shower, in the bedroom, wherever. You just open up your ears that God may speak to you. And even tonight, God may be speaking to somebody. And I want to say to Bishop Peter and Faith, thank you so much for choosing to come and be with us again. For once, they told me, you don't say once again for another time. That is redundancy. They say you don't say repeat again. You don't say come once again, repeat for another time. That is not English. But thank you so much for coming once again for another time to be with us on this Open Talk. Your story has been a blessing to many. Now, I think the best thing to do is to pick from where we stopped last time. Yeah. If you are not with us last Wednesday, you will have to go to the archives and pick last Wednesday's program, go through it, and you never know what would happen as a result of that. But welcome to the program tonight. Now, Reverend Faith, yes. We walked with you until you have gone to console with the bishop. And that time he was not a bishop, he was a pastor, and he is busy preaching. He has lost his wife and first baby, and he for 3 days he has not talked to anybody. And we go there and he hears you console him, and in your mind you are going through some grief, you're going through some pain. Somebody comes and tells you, what are you going to get married? Some American journalist, are you going to get married? And say no. Don't talk to me about marriage. And I told you I could identify with that. Me, I said to the church, don't talk to me about marriage. Don't even pray for me to get married. But again, God has the whole plan. Yeah. So now you have you have gone there. You are not interested in marriage, and the situation has gone on. So what happened from there? Now that I can see a ring on your finger.
Yeah, that's right. I have a ring right here. And a husband sitting next to me.
Yeah. You don't just have a ring, you have a ring and a husband.
I have a husband right here. Yeah. Thank you, Bishop and Reverend Joyce, for again having us on Open Talk. We love it here. We know that we are here to bless somebody, and so we believe you'll be blessed tonight as we bring you words of hope. If you're going through pain, if you're in that pit that you're wondering how you're gonna come out, I want to tell you there is a God who cares so much that he's able to lift you up and place you on a firm rock, a firm place to stand on. And so yes, as I said, you know, we went to console Peter, and I don't want to I don't want to dwell on that day so much, because really we just went to console with him. He was part of the team, no strings attached. I mean, and it was really sad. It was actually very sad for all of us in the direct team. And actually, I think a few months still after that, another brother in the ministry also lost his wife. So it was a very difficult time for all of us who were wondering, what have we done to God? And kind of people just got closer together, and they would come to just pray together. This was a group that was close-knit. We loved one another. We loved preaching the word together. But we had also grown apart over the years, because you remember this was an evangelistic team of young people. And as people got married, and some started realizing they had pastoral ministries and pastoral calling, and they started settling in churches, like Joe Wamutito, who was like the founder and the first chairman. He actually moved on to the US, and other people started becoming pastors and all of that, and including him. And so we, by the time we were going through this, we were not even seeing each other much. Actually, it's when they came that I learned that Peter, that used to be very thin, he was so thin that his ears were big. Okay. I don't know where the ears went. We used to look at him, and I'm like,
they had big ears.
Yeah, big ears, because there is no face to hold the ears, you know. And
well,
then
today it's a laughing matter, but
it was not a laughing matter then. But I remember when they were coming to my house to console with me, is when I learned that he had actually left the police. He had gone into business. He had become a pastor. You know, and now he had actually changed, and he was starting to look this strong man. You know, God had surely blessed. You know, and so there was really no strings attached. But of course, what happened is that because we could identify with one another, we definitely kept in touch. And I would call on him. He would actually come and visit us. And initially, when I started feeling like, you know, this man, we are talking more and more, I was getting very scared about it, because definitely I was not healed. I was still going through a lot of pain, a lot of issues to be sorted out. And so I would say when loss comes, you know, death of a spouse, of course there is a lot to even be settled, even issues to do with the grants and many other issues to be settled. And for me it was quite a process, because I was still teaching at Thika Technical Institute then, but then in the course of time, the embassy gave me a job. And so now I even had to move houses, and I had to really make a lot of adjustments in my life, and finally even moved to Nairobi from Thika, because I was living in Thika. And so it took quite a bit of time. And so I must say there is a process of healing. And but I would say for me, my healing was really just God. For me to even reach a place where we could talk about marriage, it was really just God holding my hand. And what I would want to tell somebody is that, you know, God takes our pain. You know, Isaiah 53 tells us that he took our pain and carried our sorrows. And that for me is what I would say is what brings healing. Just allowing the Lord to minister to you. And the Lord ministers to us through his people. Somebody comes and gives you a word of encouragement, a word of comfort, just being able to be in the fellowship of believers, hearing the word of God, and allowing your heart to be healed. And so in the process of time, and for us it didn't take a lot of time, because it was actually maybe a year later that he talked about marriage. And I thought, hey, how can you, I mean, as much as we were good friends, I'm like, how can you even talk about marriage? And I remember one time, I still remember where we were seated, and he told me, you know, I'm feeling like God is leading us to get married. And I told him, you know what? I have a lot of baggage. I have children, I have pain, I have lived with a husband, I will not make you happy because I will be carrying my baggage into your life. And I told him, I offered him a solution. I said, there are many young girls that have no issues, no baggage. Please go and get married to them. And I remember he told me, no, I feel this is what the Lord is leading me. And that time I didn't know him so much in terms of the prophetic word and the Lord speaking to him through dreams. Now I have come to know as we have lived together. But I remember he actually gave me Isaiah 54, that's the word the Lord had given him about his life and about us. That, you know, that God is saying we need to enlarge the place of our tent, and we need to, you know, the pain of widowhood and the shame, the Lord is going to remove. And I think that word really helped me. Of course, I didn't know him very well, but I also didn't have a reason to doubt that it's the Lord who had spoken. And so what happened is that we started talking to friends, close friends. I had close friends that I could trust, people that I could seek counsel from. And of course, some of them would be like, you know what, I think the Lord is taking you in a different direction, and it's good to just follow what the Lord is saying. And I remember we also went to a couple that were close to him. He used to go visit them and stay with them. They had given him a room in their house for when he didn't feel like he can go to his house, and he knew he had a place. And these are a very godly couple that are very prayerful. And they're the ones that actually gave us the confidence to feel like we could actually take this up and move forward. Because they told us, we feel the Lord is saying this yours is a mission wedding. It is going to heal many people. It is going to release many widows to get married. Because of course, even as I was fearing even the marriage, there were three main issues, I must say. One of them was I didn't want to love again, because I feared that I would love again and then get hurt, you know, through loss. And I was telling God, I don't want to try this again, because I can't imagine the loss of a husband again. The second one, of course, was my children. I was wondering, how do I bring somebody into their life? What if he does not accept them? What if he does not love them? And what if they also do not accept him? You know, of course, my children were younger. That may be a bit different from when children are older, but still, I had that fear. My children might not accept him. But incidentally, because he used to come and visit us, my children really loved him, and they would be jumping all over him. And one time, my daughter, who was very young, told him, why don't you come and become our father? And I was so embarrassed. this kid should know better. And of course, for me, it felt like, even when she said that, I felt like, am I replacing my husband? Am I replacing their father? So that was a big one for me. And I didn't want to feel like I'm replacing their father. The third one was culture. Because remember, when we get married, especially in Africa, we become part of the family. You become actually part of the clan. Especially after death is when you hear the clans now being invoked, the name of the clan being invoked. You belong to this clan. How do you leave this clan to go to another clan? How do you remove your children from this family to take them to another family? It almost sounds like you are immoral. Sorry to say. You're almost taken like somebody who is not a good woman. And so those three issues were major for me, and I had to really work on overcoming those. And so that is how, you know, we started having the conversation, and I started praying about it. Of course, when he said, can I marry you? I said, okay, you know what, then give me time to go think. And as the more I prayed about it, the more I would feel at peace. Like, Lord, I don't even know really what this is all about. And I can't say today, I would be truthful. It's not like I was feeling I am in love with Peter. It was more of practical. It was more of practical love, like, you know.
Love followed after that. You know.
Yes, definitely. Because we grow in love. I believe in marriage, we grow in love. And so for me, it was more the practicality of it. And I remember one friend told me, Faith, if you refused Ndung'u, that's what she told me, you'll be stupid.
Because I was a good man, you know.
Of course, he was a good man. We all knew he was a good man. But also, it's also not every widow that will meet a good person. And I had the certainty of he's godly, he's a God-fearing man, and he's never mixed himself up. The other thing that was easier for us, and I think this is God orchestrated, you hear that he had been posted to my village. And my father and my mother and all the villagers knew him. So when this issue came up, my father said, we are concerned about your in-laws and what they would say. But the one thing that we are certain of, Ndung'u is a good man. We know him. We have a testimony in this village. So I think that God orchestrated that. And so that, of course, made it a bit easier for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Ndung'u, now that they are calling you.
Yes, sir. That's my name.
Yes. So, you have something you'd like to say, or you want us? Let's hear that.
Thank you, Bishop and Reverend Joyce. What a joy to be able to speak this. And the reason we are speaking this is because the Bible says, by his stripes or his wounds we were healed, that Jesus was wounded so that we can be healed. But I also realize that many times we are also wounded so that we can heal others. Right. That like Apostle Paul says, we were comforted so that we can comfort you. So the reason we are sharing this is not just to say what we went through, it is so that we can bring healing to your life, and somebody who, you know, who lost hope after maybe death, even during this time of the pandemic, the COVID-19. It may not be a spouse, it could be a mother, brother, sister, children. Just the other day, somebody told me some children had lost their father some years back. Last week, they lost their mother. I mean, death can be, you know, very, very painful. And therefore, that's what we are sharing here, because, and for quite some time, we could not share our story because we were still not yet there. We were not healed. But now we can share and even laugh about some of those things, because it's like the way if you check my feet or somehow, there's a cut somewhere, maybe a wood or something. If I touch it today, it doesn't bother me. Yes, I can see the mark. You know, I fell, I got a cut, it got healed. But you can still them. So we still have those marks with us. You know, we see that we have the photos. Like my first wedding, we have some things that always reminds us. When you go to some of our documents, you see a death certificate. You'll see a marriage certificate that's not hers or something like that. So we have children that are blended, you know, where they had 2 children, and God blessed us after that. After I lost my child, God blessed us and gave us twins. He gave us 2, you know, boy and a girl. So we have 4 children. A few years later, or actually many years later, my younger sister died and left 2 children, and who we also raising, 2 boys. One is 18, the other one is 15. 14. I mean, they are growing up to be young adults. So, I mean, now we have 6 children from 3 different families that we are raising, and you're looking at it and you're wondering, God, what are you up to? What are you doing here? And when she mentioned about the, so the couple that told us that yours will be a mission wedding, I remember that when they said that, we didn't understand clearly what they were talking about. Of course, we knew God would heal us, and through this, we have shared our testimony, and so many families, couples and people, and even people who have lost their spouses, and they are wondering, can I get married again? And when I read the scriptures, the Bible says, until death. Because when you even make the vows in church, if you get married in the church, you say until death. So after death, then the marriage has been, nullified if one person dies. So the other one is free to marry. And I see Apostle Paul says, actually he was talking about the widows and said, if you have not attained the age of 60 years or thereabout, then you cannot be put in that category that you cannot remarry. So what you're saying, and I'm not saying here maybe somebody above 60 cannot remarry, so don't misquote me. But what I'm saying is that this was like she has said, it was a very difficult journey. We went through so much, of course, like she has said, people, there's expectation, even for me in the church. There are those people when they heard about, marrying Faith, I know there are 2 children in the picture, and they are wondering, we have so many other young girls here in the church. Why don't you go for just a young girl who is not as complicated? You know, no children. We have other in-laws, because between us now we have 4 families. We have 2 in-laws, you know. So actually, is it 2? I mean, I have 2 in-laws, she has 2 in-laws, because we still have that family, and now her family, my family, and the other family. And we decided we are not going to have enmities here. We will keep all of them. Of course, it was not easy. Everybody did not come on board immediately. They misunderstood what we are trying to do. People would guess, oh, he wants to marry her because of this. She wants to marry him because of 1, 2, 3. Because when something is so hard and difficult, people would always try to fill the gaps because they don't understand so much. And but all the same, we knew the bottom line is that I remember her father sometimes would come on a Saturday morning. She's waking up, maybe cleaning clothes or something, and then the father comes, knocks the door, and you know, he has traveled all the way from the village, and the question is, are you sure you want to get married again? Because the father is thinking about the cultural, you know, the cultural issues that we went to this family, we took the dowry, or rather they brought the dowry to us. Are we going to take back the dowry, you know, to this other family because they came to us? What will happen now here with the children? All those issues and all those issues. But we decided, well, we know this is the bottom line. The other issues, we are also not very sure how they will turn out to be. But one thing we are sure about is that God allows remarriage. We are still young. I mean, we were in our early 30s. I think I was only 32 or something. I mean, you don't want to say now somebody has been left without a husband and she's 30 or 31 or 35, and you want them to remain alone now the rest of their life, because the person who is gone will never come back again. You are still alive. And I think that was part of my healing. When I went through this season, difficulty, depression, pain, and losing hope, and then when God healed me, then my eyes were open and I realized, well, I'm not dead. Yes, she died, unfortunately, but I am here. I'm alive. God spared my life. We're in the same car. God spared my life. I am here for a purpose. So I'll not live my life like I am dead. I am alive. I have a mission. There is something God wants me to fulfill. And God gives beauty for ashes. And therefore, now we got married. God has blessed us with the twins after some time. And now we have children here we are raising. And we decided, like somebody would wonder, some people think, well, if children come with a woman or the husband and maybe, you know, you're getting married, it's not possible to really love these children. She can tell you, I mean, I don't know how many times people have said, hey, and this boy looks like you. Okay, we don't go to the store to tell them, okay, don't go there. And this girl looks like, because we blended, I would say we blended so well that I decided these are my children. I mean, this is, because children do not just become your children biologically. These are my children. I have taken them. I will raise them. I took them to school. We went to school together when they were in primary school, high school. We were always together. Would rather even miss church and go and visit them in high school. If there's an open day, we decided these are our children. We have been there even today. Even, you know, our daughter got married and now we are grandparents of one. And we decided we are there for them. I don't think we have ever portrayed a picture where anybody would think, well, those are her children and these are my children. I mean, we decided, and when the children, now the 4 of them are growing up, they also knew this is my brother, this is my sister. I've never seen in my family where any one of them thought, well, I think these are 2 and these are 2. There has never been that kind of a picture. We do things together, we travel together, go on holiday together. I mean, we have never, if we are sharing anything, if we are buying anything, if we are talking about issues, addressing issues, I mean, it's one family. And I believe that's the way God, you know, ordained from the beginning. We run a children's home, Bishop, you know, called Happy Life Children's Home. And one of the things we do is adoption. And just yesterday she was sharing a nice story. I think one of the families came and adopted one. It's a boy or a girl? A girl. And I think it's always good also to always remember we were also adopted. even in the Bible, according to the scriptures, that we did not belong to the kingdom, but the Lord came, because the Bible says he came to his own and his own people rejected him, the Jews. But now, because of their rejection, we were brought in, and now we were adopted to be the children of God. So you can adopt those children as your own children. And you know, some people bring up some cultural, oh, blood is thicker than water, you know, it has to be your blood, it has to be this. I think when people adopt these children, I see them raising them, because now we have adopted more than 370 since we began. And I've never heard anybody say, this child giving me trouble. I mean, if it's about giving trouble, your own children will give you trouble. You know, if it's about pain, your own children will give you pain. So it's not because maybe this child is adopted or it's not your child biologically. Then you start thinking every time they misbehave, you think it's because they are not my children. Even your own children will bring you problems. You know, raising up teenagers, youth, all those challenges. All of them will go through the challenges. So we got married, and we are still serving God, of course. You know, somebody would think or ask, now she's coming in, she has not been a pastor's wife, here I am. Is she going to be accepted in the church, and to serve or to be a pastor's wife? But I would say that, and I know somebody may be asking that, I would say, allow that to come naturally. Don't try to force your way and say, well, I'm the pastor's wife, or I'm the bishop's wife, or I'm this, then you have to listen to me. And let people, also allow people the time to adjust. That you are coming in, yes, they were used even to somebody else. You know, they were used to my wife. You know, this is, you know, we don't say my mama kanisa or whoever, you know, they were used to my wife. Now, there's somebody else here, they are even wonder, they have to size you somehow and get to know who is this, how is she coming. It is like new leadership has come in. So they have to really, you know, stay back and look at you. Allow them that time. It may take 2 years, it may take 5 years, it may take 10 years, but kwani tunaenda wapi? Hakuna haraka. You know, when you still find your room. You still find your place. So she came into the ministry, found me. Of course, some people did not understand. Some resisted. She would even suggest very, you know, small proposals. Can we make rice instead of ugari? Just, you know, as an example. And some people would think, umetukuta hapa, you found us here, you know, you can't tell us what to do. You know, we have been here, you know, for 20 years. We have been here 15 years. You can't tell us what to do. But she's a wise woman. She decided we can't fight over those things. You do what, you know, how, you know, the way you do things. You know, within time, I will get my space, I'll get my room, and we'll be able to continue. And of course, you know, after that, she you know, the people accepted her, and she became very lovely. She has a sweet spirit. You know, we brought in the children, and now we are a one family serving God, and you know, we began to do mission and traveling, even other parts of the world together. And God has blessed us. Like I've said, even now, I think through where we were wounded, going back now to where by his stripes we were, you know, we are healed, God also softened our hearts to reach out now to other people. Like we started a children's home where we started now helping abandoned children. You know, when we realized that in Kenya, there are so many, you cannot even believe it, there are so many thousands of children that have no family, that are abandoned. You know, right now we have 155 that we are caring for. Children that have no family background. They don't, I tell people, can you think in this world, you don't have a father, you don't have a mother, brother, sister, uncle, auntie, shosho, anybody that you can call family. These are the kind of children we are taking care of. And so many of them, you know, have been adopted. We have raised over 700 of them. But you see, God gave us through our wounds, because we have been wounded, hurt, kind of God, you know, breaking us, so that even when he calls us to help these children, we don't think we are up there, because there's always sometimes, you know, people think there's a natural ladder of growing up. I'll go to school, finish high school, go to college, get a job, family, children, settle, nice home, nice car, travel, holiday. There's a way people think life, but God has a way of telling you, I have another plan. Hey, I have another plan. So kind of God directed us or changed our way and put us in a class. In our ministry, we have what we call the school of faith. It's like God put us in a school and said, now you have learned all these things. You thought it will go this way, get children. We know the way couples get excited. How many children do you want? 3. And maybe the husband will be saying 5, you know. I always tell them, okay, 9. God bless you, you know. But you see, God has a way of changing that trajectory and saying, well, I know you had your own plans, your own paths, and God really spoke to us through the book of Isaiah, like even Isaiah 46:10, that God sees the end from the beginning. And so we begin to see, well, there are children here. God opened our eyes. We started Happy Life Children's Home. Today is grown. We're able to build for them. We love them. We take care of them. So many people have come. Bishop, you have been there. Thank you so much. I mean, to help these children, support them now, because already God, you know, it's like we were wounded, and now we understand. You know, like she would say when they came to visit me, and I'm here wounded, and I'm wondering, you guys, do you really understand what I'm going through? Or somebody will come and say, oh, we understand, Pastor, what you're going through. But don't be in a rush or in a hurry to tell somebody I understand. But when she came and she would say, of course, it was only like 3-4 months when she had lost, 3 months after she lost her husband. So when she said, I understand, I would think twice and say, I think she does. You know, because she has gone through it. Because when you tell somebody, like you have never been to poverty, lack, sleeping hungry, and then you meet somebody who is hungry, you may not quite understand. You may see the problem, but you may not. But here she comes. No, now she says, I understand what you're going through. And I would relate to her because she understands what I've gone through.
I'm remembering some words she said. And she said, it's good to, I want to be honest. It's not that I felt I loved. It was more.
Oh, you caught that, huh?
Yes, more, I caught that because you see, a lot of people could be facing that, and there is the situation where you feel I don't want to get into that situation again. There are people. When I said I don't want to get married, I don't want anybody to think about marriage or even to pray for me about marriage, it's because you can look at the experience that you have gone through and you are dreading, you are afraid, you are fearing. And that is a fear that can only be taken care of by God. That it is our allowing God to work in us that fear can be taken care of. And even for somebody who is saying, now you are telling me to get married, or I want to get married, or somebody is coming, I have no feeling, I have nothing. Nothing. It's a moment when you have to put your trust, maybe not on your feelings, but on your confidence in God.
That's right.
That you get married, not because of feelings. Because again, a lot of problems we have in marriage is because of feelings. That people, two young people come together, they have some chemistry. There is some chemistry going on. They feel okay, this is good, and they go for the honeymoon, and the chemistry is gone, completely gone. And they are living together. Instead of having a happy home, they're having hell in their own home. So I think that is very important to communicate to the people that your faith in God and the confidence that God hears and answers our prayers, and He knows our needs. He knows our needs. Because I said I could identify with you when I said to get married. I was ready to get married. I was ready to get married, but I could not take her. I could not take Joyce to a Heart Cafe. Is it Heart Cafe? I could not take her to Heart Cafe.
Right.
I could not take her to Java. I could not take her anywhere. I could not be seen with her. Because again, this is Bishop Mark, and he's walking around with a girl. There is a testimony that I am protecting, and there is that fear. What would come out of this? Supposing I get into it, and this happens. So there are people who are going through that situation, and I think that's where now faith comes in. That I don't see the whole story, but God sees the whole story. Then now you get married, and there are challenges. There are challenges that come. And one of the challenges is you are used to somebody who lived like this, who talked like this. Now somebody else is coming and they talk like this, they behave like this. There is a whole lot of a difference. How do you cope with that? Those kind of challenges. That this is a completely different person, and you are used to somebody else. How do you get out of that situation? That's somebody could be asking that question. I don't know if there is any wisdom that you can throw to.
I'm thinking, okay, for one, we are not saying that you marry somebody that you don't have any feelings for. On the other hand, because we don't want people to misunderstand us. But what we are saying is that thing of falling in love. You know, like the young people like to say, you know, I have fallen in love. I think this is more of a practical love, more of an act of the will, because you know, of course there has to be attraction. Definitely you can't also get married to somebody that you're also not attracted to even physically, like you don't like how they look or how they talk. You know? So again, it has to be somebody you like, somebody that you're actually feeling, this is somebody that I can live my life with. That has to be there. Because again, when it comes to remarriage, sometimes when I read 1 Corinthians 7, and Paul says, the wife, when the husband has died, she has been released from the law and she can get married again only in the Lord. And then he adds the next verse, which sometimes whenever I read, I'm thinking, okay, you know, he says, but I think she's happier
Yes.
if she does not get married. And every time I analyze that verse, I am thinking, Paul understood that it is not going to be that easy. There are a lot of dynamics of a remarriage. And of course, Paul, even with the younger ones, even virgins, he says they are better off not getting married, but if they are burning, then let them get married. So I know Paul's way of thinking as far as marriage is concerned. But when I see that verse, it also tells me, he's saying, hey, you know what? There can be a lot of hurdles and a lot of challenges in that second marriage. Because there can be comparison, you know, and there can be even expectations. Because of comparison, there can be expectations. So what I wanted to say is that, yes, of course, you have to be attracted to this person. It's not like I liked him. I actually loved him as a brother in the Lord. But it is not that of, you know, my heart is really just bumping, you know, because I saw him or something like that.
That heart we used to draw with an arrow.
Yes. Because again, you know, really, I'm coming from a place of going through sorrow. And as Bishop, you have rightfully said, there is fear of even getting engaged again to somebody, loving somebody, and then going through some things. You know, because of course, once bitten, they say twice shy. But for us as believers, that is where faith comes in. That we say, you know what, Lord, I know if you are on or in my life, and if you lead the way, then this is going to work. And so more importantly, and I would say, especially for believers, make sure you've heard from the Lord. There is a witness in your spirit that this is of the Lord. Because if it is of the Lord, like Paul says, she can get married, but only in the Lord. You need to be in the will of God. And of course, now when it comes to challenges, yes, there can be comparison. And for me, I would tell somebody who would consider remarriage, one, you need to put things in the right perspective. This was Tony, this is Peter. Even the names are different. And of course, the names may even be the same.
I have a Joyce.
That's right, I just thought of that. But this is a different Joyce from Komodai.
Exactly.
And maybe another Joyce from elsewhere. They are different people. If you start comparing, then you're going to have problems with the relationship. And it is very easy to compare. What I think for me, I decided I'll put things into perspective. There are things that Peter is strong in that my husband was not strong in. And I chose to actually enjoy those strengths. The things, there are things maybe my husband never pampered me with, but he does, you know, because he's different. We all relate very differently. And where he's not strong, then I know he's not like that. He may not be able to do certain things like the other person does. So I would say there are challenges of comparison, but you need to put things into the right perspective and realize this is a completely different relationship. I would advise people going for counseling. if they are reconsidering remarriage, counseling is very important. From a Christian counselor and somebody who is also a professional that can help them sort out the different issues. Be able to look at your former marriage, put it into its rightful place, know that is behind you, and now be able to say, okay, so I'm getting a new person. What are the things that are likely to be? So I think for me, counseling is important. Even for us, Bishop, as you're saying, we couldn't court. Actually, we got married quickly, which is not what I would prescribe for people. But you know what? He was a pastor. So how does he start being seen with a woman hanging all over the place, you know, taking her for coffee and all of that? And so we generally had to just make a decision. You know, if we have decided to get married, then let's get married. So we really didn't do those things that the young people would really do. We went and we agreed on that, and we accepted it, that, you know what, let's just go and do it. But I would also tell the widows and the widowers, give yourself time to heal. If you're still so wounded, there are still things that you're feeling like you have not even dealt with. Of course, you know, dealing with the death is a lifetime thing. You will live with it the rest of your life. So it's not like there's also a time where it will never really go. But there is also that place where you are very wounded. And I think it is necessary to give yourself time. And how that can come about, as we have said, is having people walk with you in the journey. People you can trust. It could be your pastor or your bishop. It could be a trusted friend. It could be a couple that you know you can trust. And those can help you to actually walk and put things into perspective and heal. And of course, counseling, for me, I believe in counseling. I think counseling really helps people to be able to say, what will I do with the children? What will I do with the property? You know, I had property here. I am getting married to somebody, because I know many women who find it hard to get married. They say, okay, I have my house, and he has his house, so who will live? Do I leave my house to go to his house? And that becomes a challenge.
And your house is better than his house.
Yes, and my house. And please, men, please, I would beg you, don't come to our house.
Yes.
Because when you come to her house and she has children, you are coming into their space. You will feel like an intruder to them. I would advise such a man, you would rather go and rent a house together or bring them to your house. And if you are living in your house with your wife, probably look for a common house, another different house, live there together.
But what I was wondering, Pastor Faith, is there are many ladies who may be where you were some years and just may be feeling, no, I can't. And what would be your word to them?
For me, I would say, again, if you are in the will of God in this matter, because involve God. Let God be involved in what you're planning to do. And there needs to be peace in your heart that this man you're bringing into your life and the life of your children is the right man. And there can never be 100%, because there is no human being you can be 100% with. But there is a level of the peace in your heart to say, I feel this is of God, he's leading me in this way. And of course, there are also things, just like with even when you are getting married, when you are young as a girl, I always tell people when they are courting or in a relationship, they are dating, there are green lights and there are red lights. And I don't think you should ignore the red lights. If there is a red light somewhere, how he's maybe dealing with money, how maybe you see him relating even with other women, relating with children. If there are red lights, don't ignore them. You would rather delay until you feel I have a green light. And the green light, it's the Lord that actually gives us. Because I've realized many people that are in marriages, even where like there's abuse or neglect, sometimes when you go back in the time of courting or dating, there were red lights that they ignored. They saw the person and how he talked about children or he talked to the children, but they ignored. So for me, I would tell the ladies, pray and be in the will of God. And of course, do not fear. One of the things I did when I decided that now I was going to get married, I actually first went to my mother-in-law. I had to be very bold to go to her and say I am getting married. And my thinking was, I was given by my mom to her, and I was told, this is your mother from today onwards. And of course, we had a good relationship. And so she's the person I went to and said, I want to get married. Before I tell my mother and my father, I need you to know this. And God is good because she blessed me. The minute I said it, she said, I am settled. Now I can rest. I don't have to be worrying about you at night, wondering how will you live your life? You are a young girl. How will you live your life? So I would say it is still good to go to your in-laws and let them know what you're planning. Now, they could accept, they could refuse. They can bring trouble. But if you are walking with the Lord, He will sort out the trouble along the way. If they throw you out and say, forget about us, we don't want to hear, at least you did your part. But you want to be at peace with everyone. And for me, my mother-in-law actually walked me down the aisle with my mom on both sides. They are the ones who walked me down the aisle. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but I've also known other widows that have come to me, and we have talked about this, and we have prayed, and their mothers-in-laws have actually been there for them. So do not fear, but also pray and be sure you're in the will of God. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite a challenge. Now you have left. You have been married for this number of years. You have gotten married to this man, and they are completely different. There is the thought that some people think that now that you are married, or you as spouse may think, now that you are married, you will never think about your past. I don't want you to hear. I don't want to hear you mention that woman. I don't want you to hear you mention that man at all. Yeah. That is out of bounds, which ends up bringing in a lot of tension in the house. I don't know how you dealt with that, because for me, I remember when we were getting married, or when we were preparing to get married. Again, for us, how many days? 57.
Wow.
Ours were 57 days, and we were married. But I had time to tell her, I want you to know, I have been married for close to 30 years. I cannot get my 30 years in life and just cut it off and throw it into the sea. Yeah. So you will hear me give testimonies about Joyce. Yeah. You will hear me give stories about what we have done. So you have got to capture that. Yeah. And she had no problem at all. She had no problem. She said that's a life. Yeah. You cannot cut life out and throw it away. And that has helped us quite a lot. Yeah. In that I can talk about Joyce and the children, the places we went to, and things we did, and they are not a hurting to her, but they are a blessing. Yeah. I don't know how you dealt with, if you ever dealt with that, Bishop, or anything.
Well, Bishop, what I would say is that I think things get better and easier and lighter along the way. At the beginning, of course, she's coming from this marriage, I'm coming from this marriage, and okay, other people, it may be different. Maybe it's one spouse who was married, the other one was never married. So every marriage is unique. But for us now, we are coming, both of us have been married. We are still dealing with a lot of issues. There could be compensation with insurance. There could be issues of now following up with the documents, letters of administration. There could be issues of inheritance. There could be issues of change of names and properties and bank accounts and a lot of things. So the first 1 year, 2 years, it can be very tough, because it brings back a lot of memories. You're trying, every paper you look at, you see her name. You see that. So, photographs, so many things, places you went to, and maybe some people don't even know that maybe you lost your spouse, and you go to a place and they're asking, how is she? And you, oh my goodness, don't you know? And of course you don't want to go telling everybody, because you're still in a lot of pain that time. But I would say, 3 things very fast. That one thing is that be open to one another. Don't try to cover up or hide anything. Be open to one another. Share and talk about anything that you can talk about. talk about your experiences, your background, whatever, all those things. How is it? Your pain, your fears, your worries. Talk about the children. Be open. Spend time together talking about just about anything. Number 2 is that ask the hard questions, because sometimes people want to talk about the sweet things, the good things, and all that. But it's also good to go deeper and talk about the tough things, How do we handle this? Where do we go from here? It's not all smiles. It's not all laughter and fun and all that. I mean, what do we do with this? We have a situation here. What do we do? Well, I'm going through this. The lawyers are asking for this. Or what do we do? I mean, talk about even the difficult, hard issues. And then number 3, create memories together. Because if you had been married 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, or whatever, then there are those memories you created together. You went to this place, missions, holiday, work, business, visits, family, friends, and all that. So all this brings memories. And like you have said, you cannot erase or just click delete on all those memories. So now what will help you along the way is you begin to create. Now we have been married for 21 years. Now, I mean, there are so many memories now we have created together. Kind of now they overshadow whatever else may be coming. So I don't now sit every day and I'm remembering, we used to do, we went here, we did this, we did that. No, now the memories we have created over the last 20 years, now they overshadow all that. So now whenever I'm even remembering things, once in a while I may remember that or something here and there. But now our memories is what we have done together, the journey we have walked together, the travels, the ministry, such that even when we are talking, now we are, we talk about our memories and where we have been and the things we have done. And I think it's also good that probably you also learn to accept one another. I accepted that she's different. Faith is not Beatrice. Peter is not Tony. So we accept one another the way we are, and also with a lot of grace that we also allow one another to go, because her journey is not my journey. Mm-hmm. We may be thinking we are in the same boat or we are going through the same thing, but her journey is totally different and my journey is totally different. So allow, give the other person grace to go through what she's going through. Let me go through what I'm going through and all that. And that's why the Bible says 2 are better than 1. When one is down, the other one does not follow them down there. You lift them up. So there may be days when, especially those other years, she's down, questions and all those things, and now I'm not there yet, so I lift her. There are days I'm down, she will lift me. So we are able to complement each other and work together. But having said all that, I would say, remarriage is possible. It is a beautiful thing. It is ordained of God, because just like when we, marry young people and say, God said it's not good for a man or a woman to be alone. I would say even when you have been left by your spouse, it's not good. Unless God has called you, like Apostle Paul, to preach the gospel or do other things, then you have a special call. But for me, I didn't have it. Of course, when this happens, immediately you actually resign. Many people bow, like she said, and say, I will never get married again. But of course that changes. And don't put somebody down. And when you see them now getting married and you say, you told us you never get married. What happened? What changed, I mean, that was from the pain and what the person was going through. But I want to say, today we can say for sure, we have enjoyed our marriage. Am I right? We have enjoyed our journey. We love each other. Our love continues to grow. Like she mentioned at the beginning, because again, there's so much we are going through. It's not so much of the feelings. It's a commitment. It is a trust. It is knowing that God wants us to be here. But along the way, after cultivating now our love and commitment and dedication, now I can say I think we are more in love today than we were when we began. Am I right?
You think or you know?
I know. So I think that's, if you are considering, if you need help, you can reach out to us. That's why we are doing this. We're doing this as a ministry today because we want to encourage you and say, it's not over. So don't be there. You have been left alone 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and you're wondering, can I even consider what will happen? What will happen with my children? God will give you somebody who loves those children, and you don't have to worry about them, so that they can grow up in an environment of a complete family with a father and a mother. And that's our prayer for you, that you may be able to succeed. And I can say we are a living testimony. We are doing ministry. We are helping a lot of children. We can share our testimony. Now we don't have the pain. We have the scars, yes, but we don't have the pain. God healed our pain. God will also heal your pain.
You know, you talked about the issue of resigning, which is very, 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 very important. Because a lot of people resign in life and say, that is done. And also overcoming the social beliefs and pressures.
And you know, I was thinking about single ladies and who now are getting somebody to marry them, and I've come across several. And they write to me because they probably look at me and feel I could give them some advice, and I do give to the level of my wisdom, and maybe you could tell us. But there are ladies who come to me asking me that they have found someone to marry, and he has 2 children. He has 4 children. He has 1 child. And they always ask me, how do we handle it? I've always found some answer because I'm in that situation, but I want to hear. But maybe your case, I'm sure you'd have some wisdom because it's Bishop who came into such a scenario. But I'm sure you'd also have something to contribute. But what would you tell a lady like that? Usually it's a very open question of how do I get into this marriage? He has 3 children. Give me some advice.
I think for me the foundation is that children are a blessing. I have never looked at children as a burden. There are people who think children are a burden, they will be troublesome, they will be what? But children are wonderful. I mean, when you think about children, think of a blessing. Actually, the Bible says that, you know, the fruit of the womb is his reward. So when people now, you know, remove all those cultural things, or they'll give you problems, how do you love them? They are not your own children, because those are cultural beliefs. But when you look at a child, they are innocent. 2 years, 5 years, they are very innocent. When they see even somebody they don't even know, they run to them. You know, leave alone somebody who they'll call a dad. And I have married a few people even in church who had, you know, children. And today I see them together, and maybe after that they are blessed with 1 or 2 children. So look at children as a blessing and not a burden. And now you can look at them as one who is going to impact their lives and help them. That actually it's an opportunity for you to impact somebody else's life. And children grow up, you know, because now when we got married, you know, she said when the children were left, her children, they were 3 years and 1 year. Today, our daughter who was 3 years, now she has her own family. So we did our part just to hold their hand for this time that they're young and vulnerable. Today she can now stand on her own. She has a husband, a child, and all that. So don't look at it as a burden. Look at it as a blessing. God allows me, I can help these children to grow up, and when they are grown up, they will remember me, that I was a good mother, I was a good father. I think that's how I look at it.
And maybe I could also add, because they could also be older children. And the small children, of course, are maybe easier because children adapt easily. But when they are older children, there can be 2 scenarios, or even 3. They can accept you, they can reject you, they can be indifferent.
Can choose,
But I think when if a lady comes in and their children in this family, one, I think the man will really need to help her, to help her understand his children, and understand maybe how to get into this family. He is really the bridge between her and the children, and how all can blend in. But I think I would advise a lady like that, give those children time, but pray to the Lord to just love them as a mother. Because if you love them as a mother, I think what we sow, we reap. If you sow love, even to the hardest of hearts, with the time, they will actually soften. They realize this is a mother coming to take care. But of course, I would say the man needs to do some work, because of course, there are places where children feel, now this woman is coming in to replace our mother, and that they can reject you because of that. So definitely the father will have to have done some work and separate with the children, that the children feel comfortable. She's not replacing your mother, but I need somebody in my life. And especially because they also have their life anyway. But I think for the lady also, you want to take care that you're not, the lady needs to take care not to be insecure. Because somebody can come and they are feeling like they are competing with the children for the love of the father. I think the couple needs to work on their own relationship, and that's why for me counseling would be important, for them to be able to say, how do we come and make our own unit of the two of us, and yet we have the bigger unit of the children. And this could be other children that actually have their own lives. They have already formed their worldview. They may like, they also may have who they would want you to marry and not to marry. You know, they can also have their opinions. But
and maybe also for the children, the older children, because they may be listening also, and your father wants to remarry, your mother wants to remarry, also put yourself in their shoes. Because some of you, maybe you are 18, you're 25, and you're telling your mother, you can't marry another man, we don't want another man. I mean, they also need companion. When you're all gone, and she'll be left there alone, she needs somebody who can give them company. So also put yourself in their shoes and be a little bit merciful and compassionate. Let me throw it back to you, Reverend Joyce. You got married to Bishop, and here there are older children, even grandchildren. How is it for you?
You know, there's something Pastor Faith said about the husband being the one to bridge that gap. And that is exactly what my husband did.
Wow.
You know, right from the beginning. And I remember us having a conversation very early where he told me that, remember, you're not their mother.
That's true.
And I was not even also expecting to come in and be their mother. I knew their mother, so I knew I'm not their mother. So that was very clear from the beginning. But there's something he told me which has stuck with me to today, and which I could tell anyone also who is listening and who is getting married in such a situation. And he told me, make friends with them. You remember?
I remember.
Again, there's something Bishop said, Bishop Mark, my husband. And he said, we have two bishops here. He said that God orchestrates our lives. Because when I look at my own life, it may have been a bit different in the sense that I had an acquaintance, I can maybe call it an acquaintance with the children, because I was in the church where they were. So there was a lot of, they knew me, they had seen me, and we had, maybe even if it was a far off relationship, but they knew me. And you know, would meet, hi. So we kind of had an orientation to one another, so I was not like a complete stranger who had no idea who this woman is. But today I've always remembered those words. Just make friends with them. And that does not mean I'm visiting their homes and we are going for coffees and all that. It is good. But he said, just develop a relationship. And I have been able to do with that. I've been able to develop a relationship with the sons. Again, the relations are different for each one of them. And they're not at the same levels, but they are unique. You know, so the relationship I have with the elderly son, the second son, the daughter, wonderful relationships. And for them, I can confidently, you know, even look at the camera and say, we have a good relationship.
Wonderful.
This far. I respect their space, and they have respected my space. And that is what gives him peace and joy. That he has never, I have never brought him an issue that, oh, your son said, oh, your daughter told me. Never. I don't know if they have ever gone to him.
No, I've said it. I've said it publicly. None of them has ever come and said, you know, she did this, why this, she did this.
Wow.
No. That's and then we also, I think the other thing, our time is is gone. We cannot continue with this. But also it's good to say you don't make demands.
Yeah.
Because when you make demands, it is the demands that come, that eat the people.
Yeah.
For example, if they came at home and she demanded, you must call me my mother, your mother, I'm your mother. Or if it is, you go and make demands, you must call me dad.
Yeah.
And these are adults.
Older children,
Adults, you are telling that.
Yeah.
They will definitely resist. But the grace of God has been sufficient. I think, thank you so very much.
Thank
this
you,
has
Bishop.
been so interesting, so informative. And
Yeah.
I trust that you have gotten something out of this. And I want to say thank you so very much to you for watching and listening, and to Bishop Peter and Faith for coming and being so open, and to Joyce for participating and just openly speaking. It has just been tremendous. May the Lord richly bless you.
Amen.
If you would want to reach Bishop Peter Ndung'u, you can go to the Blessed House, Overcoming Faith on Thika Road, is on the left towards Thika. That's why he pastors.
Before Safari Park.
And you are also on Hope FM.
Every Saturday, 5:30.
Every Saturday, 5:30, Bishop Peter is on Hope FM, and also on One Accord Television.
Saturday, 8 p.m.
Every Saturday at 8 p.m. You can get Bishop Peter and Reverend Faith there, and they can be a blessing. You can even call them to come and talk to you. You are couples. If you have a couples meeting, you can invite them to come. And we want to say thank you so very much. Now, listen, please. If you are a widowed, you are a widower, or you are widower. There's a widow and a widower.
A widower.
Or there's a widow and a widower. If you're a widow or a widower, or you have ever been, maybe you're already married, maybe you're not married, and you would like to touch base with us, please just call the number on the screen, and we will be able to communicate with you. And maybe we can have a dinner, we can have a lunch, we can have a place where birds of a feather flock together, and in our fellowship we can help one another. Maybe your marriage is going through the rocks, and you are wondering, why did I ever get married to this woman? Why did God do this to me? We can be of help. May the Lord richly bless you. My name is Bishop Mark Karaoke, your pastor and your friend for a long time, and the presenter, Open Talk. God bless you. We'll see you again this coming Wednesday night. God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you.